everybody, and welcome to David Christopher's. I'm Jen.
I'm David.
And we are here ready to do another DIY today. It's going to be a little bit different because you were switching gears to a garland, but this is still going to be for fall, right?
Yeah, this is still going to be fall, and today we're going to be actually using a lot of soft pinks and blush colors in our fall designs.
I'm excited. Let's get started.
So first thing we're going to do today is we're going to be working with this wired leaf magnolia garland, and it's got this kind of I call it kind of an antiqued finish on it. It's kind of grayed a little bit. It's like it's been dried slightly, and we're going to use a couple of those because we want this to hang down both sides of our mantle. But when you receive this comes flat like this, and what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bend all of those leaves back in that three-dimensional kind of pattern that a natural magnolia branch would be in. So these branches kind of pull out from the main garland, and then we're just going to shape all of those individual leaves. And I actually did most of this already. I'm just showing you a little bit because I've been watching some of those cooking shows, and apparently you're supposed to have things ready. You like dice up, a third of a carrot, but you have 26 of them already cut up so that people don't have to stand there and watch you doing all the little minutiae tasks that you have to do to finish things. You're supposed to have some of that stuff pre-done. So I am working on trying to get ahead of the game. So for the center here, really what we're going to do is we're just going to twist these two together at the stem. And that's going to give us a really secure foundation there. You may have to pull some of this out a little bit more, just different places. But we're going to be adding a lot of things to this in various places. And you can choose to add as many different layers as you want. We're going to be adding quite a few layers today. Next, we're going to be adding our cream green. It's got just a little touch of green. It's got a little berry cream. It's got some that's a little more white. It's got just a little hint of orange here and there, which makes it work really great for fall. And we're going to be adding this on top of our magnolia garland. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get the main stem, main branch of the garland and the magnolia garland to get as close together as possible, which means what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to push this down and sometimes make sure that there's no magnolia leaves or magnolia stems getting in the way of that. But we want that to be just as close to the actual stem as possible. Thankfully, this magnolia garland has these little twigs, and we can use that and just wrap that around. That will hold it together really well. And then you just bring some of this magnolia back to the front. We're going to place our garland as close to the main branch of the magnolia garland branch as we can, which means sometimes you're going to have to move some of these stems around that are attached to the main branch so you don't crush any of these magnolia leaves. Thankfully, I'll show you, we're going to move that branch up here, but this magnolia branch has these handy little wired twigs that come with it, and we're just going to use that to twist our garland around to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. And that will secure our berry garland to our magnolia garland. Then you just come back in and you move, some berry to the forefront, keep some magnolia in the back and the front. You want to kind of mix it in as much as possible. At this point, we're going to be adding some more magnolia because you can never have too much magnolia. We're going to be using this light brown magnolia stem, which we also have in green if you want just a straight green. But for this, we're going to be using this light brown. And it's got great coloration in it. But this will come to you with the plastic on it, which you can just rip off, and the tag, which you take off, and then it will come flat like this. So what we do have to do is we have to take these magnolia branches and we're going to curl the leaves back, because these all have a wire in each one. And when you curl the leaves back, it begins to look like a real magnolia branch, because it's got that three-dimensional molding on the plastic, you know, that looks like it just came out of the yard. Of course, it was dead when I cut it, I guess, but, you know, very natural branch. And we're going to tuck this underneath because we want some of the brown to go to the back. We're going to curve this stem a little bit, and we're going to let a little bit of this go toward the back because we want to get a little bit of this brown in the back of the garland, and we want to get a little bit of our green up on top of the brown. But that really is just going to bring it a better depth of color just because we've got that darker mixed into it. So we're going to have a little bit more of that brown variation. So again, we're just going to tuck some of the leaves behind. Like, you can choose where to split it and let it just kind of come through. But we want to get some of that green back on top of it. So you may have to, you know, get some berry on top of it, some of the green magnolia. You may have to drag another magnolia leaf, or just adding a little more brown.
Do you recommend using wire for this in certain situations?
If you were planning to move this many times, I would definitely say wire it together. But if you're just doing it like this, like these are, especially once you weave those leaves together, it's not going to move. So if you're just doing it for your mantle and you don't intend on picking it up and taking it somewhere else, just leave it like this. I wouldn't worry about it. Then we're going to add one of these towards the bottom of the garland on each side. Now, because this is got gravity working against you, I will take one of these little wired pieces and wire it on, because everything's angled down right here, so you don't want this one to slide out. We're going to now take our Crisp Meadows Fall Pumpkin Gourd Spray, and we're going to use this because this has some lighter colors, some light gray greens, and a little bit of like a, almost got like a little bit of a golden color in it. And we're going to use this to go on top. Like I said, we're using lots of layers, but we want some of that brown to come through. So we're going to keep trying to pull some of our brown magnolia leaves, some of our green magnolia leaves through the sprays. Everything that we add, we're going to try and make sure that we get some of the coloration from everything kind of mixed in there. We're at that point where we're going to start adding some of that blush pink, mauve pink kind of colors that we've been talking about. This is our a new peony, like a miniature peony. It's actually a little more like a ranunculus, but you know, I didn't name it, so we named it a peony. But these are going to be a great color to add into this. And if you don't want this, you can always stop here, and you know, the goal is to put like a bow or something in the middle. You can put a larger pumpkin in the middle, something like that, just a little focal point. But for this video, you know, us, we always want to do something a little bit different. And we're going to be using this, this kind of a
Ooh, that's pretty.
mauve pink color mixed in, because we want to be kind of different. We want to show you some things that maybe you won't see everywhere else. We're just going to, every so often, we're going to mix those in. And when you get these, they have like a little stem that's coming off of them. That's just to look like, you know, a bud was going to form, but it's not missing anything there. Now we're going to get just a little more flowy with this pink sorghum spray. You just let that fall a little bit to the front, just to hang over the edges of the mantle. And then we'll put another piece kind of on the edges over here, so it's a little more flowy with the pink color. And just pulling a few of these stems up through some of the rest of it. Just keep blending everything together so you don't have big clumps of one color and not another. That's kind of the goal, is we want to make sure that everything's blended very well.
And remember, if you check the description, you will find a link with all of the products that we've used in today's video to make shopping super easy. Just click that link and everything that's in stock when you click the link will show up, and you'll be able to purchase it right there on our website. And during the month of September 2024, we do have a sale going on, so check that out.
Now, in the center, we've really vacated a lot of space. There's a lot of negative space that we've got. I'm going to use this ribbon that is our pink faux du peony. It's just a very like a dusty pink. It's got this kind of a grayish sheen to it, which works really well with our ranunculus, peonies, whatever you want to call them. And like I was saying before, I need to have that already done. So already got my bow tied. I just need to shape this out real quick and attach. And I made a little bit larger bow than normal for specific things, but that's a pretty good size space we're trying to take up. So keep that in mind when you are tying for specific places, the space that you're actually trying to fill, and that will make it a little bit easier. So if we're going to use our bow, we're going to cut the tails in the ribbon and just fold those over, give those a quick cut. And then we're going to show you another option that if you prefer not to use a bow here and you want to keep it more floral, more botanical, then you can do that as well. But if you did choose to do a bow, you'd kind of have this space filled in like that. And if not, let me pull that out. We're going to use a couple of these really giant hydrangeas. In fact, they're called giant garden hydrangeas. And we're just going to tuck these in. These are going to be great to take up a lot of space right there. And then we're going to go back over it with a couple more of our pumpkins just to reinforce that fall, that we're really promoting this fall here. So we don't want to have like a huge amount of this color. So we're actually just going to cut this and get a good break between the gourd and the pumpkin. And that will allow me to place these a little more intentionally and not quite as long, so that I can go in through, because this hydrangea is so large, I can just go through the hydrangea and you're still going to see that color from the hydrangea. But we're going to put those little bit of pumpkin and gourd mixed in there just to reinforce that fall sentiment on the mantle.
Yeah, and you could add some live pumpkins on your mantle, like if you found some pretty cream and green ones, or any type of other decor that you have that's fall-ish but matches this color combination.
And we could have used some larger pumpkins if we not sold out of our larger pumpkins that were this kind of a light green color. Yeah,
we've sold out a lot of our pumpkins, so.
Which is good. That's the goal. Something we want to do. Just, sometimes it's a little early. Pretty much done with our garland. So what we really have left to do is we're going to hang a wreath on our mirror. So first thing we're going to do is I have this wreath that matches the pumpkin gourd pick that we used that you can buy by itself, and they come kind of, you know, in a box, kind of mashed. All of this is wired. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go through and we're going to intentionally shape each piece and pull some of the foliage to the inside. Like you want some of this going toward the inside of the wreath. You want some of it coming to the outside of the wreath so that you fill up a little bit more of that space where the wreath actually is. So we'll just tuck, you know, a leaf here and a berry, and then we'll leave the rest of this piece to the outside. We'll do the same thing over here. We'll go inside, outside. Just make sure you fill that up. So that's going to end up looking a lot better than if you just take it out of the box and everything's kind of flopping whichever way it decides to. Just make sure to go back in and pull some of this apart to shape it to where you really see all the individual components. Works a lot better, looks a lot more appealing that way. Now, the other thing that we do need to talk about is these sticky door hangers. These you have to peel from the corner, and you cannot pull these things off from the hanger themselves. You have to actually peel this from this corner, and they're reusable. So if you peel that off, as long as you don't get the back, this adhesive part, dirty, this can be, you know, as long as it's on glass, a very smooth surface, glass, mirror, works great for mirrors. Like this was going to be a little too low. We're just going to position up here. I'm going to press down, and that will hold. Like if we put a few of these up, I could wire one of my kids to it and it would be fine. Maybe if they misbehave, we may have to try that one day. But no, these are seriously strong. If you are looking for something to withhold wreaths or anything that you're trying to hang on a window or a mirror, and you need something very secure, and we have a lot of people that live on the lake here, and they get a lot of wind whipping off the lake. They love these because they will stay up there, and they don't have as many problems as when they buy suction cups, and the suction cups come down. Especially when it gets cold, the suction cups don't hold as well, and these are not affected by the temperature outside. As long as the glass is clean and it's not, you know, covered in dirt, then that adhesive part sticks to that and it forms kind of a vacuum seal, so it can't pull from the middle. You can only peel it from the corners, but those are absolutely amazing. That's why we call them amazing wreath hangers, and those we have back in stock. I know everybody asks about them throughout the year, but we get like one shipment of them a year that's like, you know, 30,000 of them, and then when we sell out, we got to get another 30,000 or so. So it's a lot of those at one time. But when we have them, and we have them in stock now, and while supplies last. So now that we've hung the wreath a little higher, it makes a lot more sense. We're gonna just add a few things to help coordinate with our garland. So we're going to add some of the same cream green berry that we did in the garland into the wreath. And for this, you really just have to make sure you go, these are kind of like grapevine wreaths, they're angel vine wreaths, so the openings are just a little bit smaller. It's a little easier to not get the items to go in there very well. So just make sure you get the item actually in the wreath and the stem so that it will stay really well. We're just going to separate these out into multiple pieces. Then we'll cut decent size, and that will allow us to place these in a smaller pattern. Now that we've gotten our white berries added in, we're just going to cut some of these peony, ranunculus, whatever we're going to call them, and we're going to place those the same way we did with our berries. Is we just want to make sure we get that really in the wreath. And that color should work really well, especially since we've already used it with this combination. We just want to make sure we alternate. We don't want to put all the large ones in the same spot or all the small ones in the same spot. We want to mix those up so that they don't seem like they're exactly the same.
And it's worth noting that no hot glue has been used in the making of this video.
That's true.
This is all just using what you have to tie it together.
You just have to make sure you actually get these stems inside the wreath well. You could wire them on, so that's always an option if you choose to do so. I think we're finished.
This is so pretty. And I've already claimed it for my front door, so, but we can make more. If you check out the website, you can buy this as a kit or as a completed wreath if you want it ready to go. But now what?
If you're one of those people that likes kits, you gotta thank Jen for putting those together because nobody else here knows how to do it.
That's not true. I think I've taught someone else how to do it. So
okay.
Yeah, more than one person.
But who has time to do it?
I know,
Nobody.
that's the problem.
So Jen will do it at night.
Yeah. But here is the finished product with the garland. All of the items you see here are David Christopher's brand. Sometimes we get that question, where did you get this flower? Where did you get this garland? All here at David Christopher's. Check out our website, www.shopdavidchristopher's.com. And we sell wholesale and retail. We're glad to help you in any way that we can. And I have been studying the book of James recently, and it's been very timely because with kids and ourselves with jobs and different things going on, the very popular verse that we're all reminded of is count it all a joy when you face trials of any kind. Because when we face those trials, that gives us an opportunity to grow in our faith and to also mature in our walk with God. And so it's hard sometimes.
Not a big fan of maturing.
It's hard sometimes to count it all a joy. But I even had this conversation recently with my son, who is in a new sport at a new school, and the struggle is real with all the changes. But it gives us an opportunity to grow in our faith and to grow in our relationship with Jesus. And that is the most important thing that we can be doing while we're on this earth.
And we have to remember that it's a greater witness for other people that we can keep the peace of God and the joy going through things rather than life's great, everything's good, you know, thank you, Lord. But when you experience real tragedies and real difficult things in your life, and you can still follow Jesus through those things and rely on Him, depend on Him, and people don't understand how you can still be okay and mentally sane, you know, that's where people really realize that there's somebody else helping you.
Yeah, He can sustain you. So whatever you're going through today, whatever trial or struggle, I know you probably have one because we all do. I hope that you're able to count it all a joy, find the good in it, find the ways that you can grow in it and develop your faith, and know that we are rooting for you.